My father called me after 20 years of silence. No hello, no apology, just, "We need you, your brother made a mistake." I didn't answer right away. I looked around my office, 40th floor, city skyline, a desk bigger than the bedroom I grew up in. Then I said the only thing that made sense. "I know, and the debt is now due." He went quiet. He had no idea what was waiting for him on the other end of that silence. But to understand what I did, you need to understand what they built first. I was 7 years old the first time I understood my place in that family. My mother had this crystal vase. Old, expensive, sacred, you didn't go near it. One afternoon, I walked through the front door and froze. The vase was shattered on the floor. Leo was standing over it, a cricket bat still in his hand. He looked at me. And in that 1 second, I watched him make a decision. He lowered the bat. His eyes filled with tears, not the real kind, the useful kind. My mother rushed in, saw the glass, saw Leo's trembling lip, saw his finger pointed directly at me, no questions, no investigation. She looked at me the way people look at something they've already decided about. Leo got a hug. I got sent to my room, and somewhere down the hall I heard him laugh. That was the pattern, not just once, always. Leo failed a test, I distracted him. Leo broke something, I dared him. Leo lied, I'd confused him. My father had a simple philosophy. Leo was going somewhere, so Leo got the investment, private tutors, a new car at 16, business contacts before he even graduated. Me, I was told to be self-sufficient. I bought my own used car with 3 months of savings, put a small dent in the bumper. My father made me pay for the repair out of my college fund. To teach me a lesson. Leo crashed his gifted sports car twice, both times new car in the driveway within a week. By the time I reached college, I had accepted it. This was just the architecture of the family. Leo was the future. I was the footnote that made his story cleaner. I stopped waiting for it to change. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that they weren't done with me yet. Not even close. 6 weeks before graduation, my phone rang at 11 p.m. My mother's voice, tight, controlled. "There's been an accident. Leo's fine, but your father needs to talk to you." The line transferred before I could respond. My father came on, and the first words out of his mouth told me this wasn't a family crisis. This was a plan. What he asked me to do that night wasn't just wrong. It was designed to erase my entire future in one phone call. The first time they called me in to fix Leo's mess, I was 21. My father's voice on the phone was calm and matter-of-fact. Leo had a misunderstanding at work. Nothing formal yet, but a character reference from someone credible would help, someone with a clean record. I wrote the letter without asking too many questions. 2 months later, I found out the misunderstanding was that Leo was expensing personal purchases through his company account for 6 straight months. My letter killed the formal review before it started. Leo never mentioned it. Neither did they. Like I was a tool they'd put back in the drawer. The next request came 4 months later. Leo needed a co-signer on a lease. My father explained it in 30 seconds, just paperwork, just a formality. I said no, the line went quiet. Then slowly, deliberately, "I just thought you'd want to help your brother." I held my ground. My father didn't argue, didn't push, just said okay and hung up. That was worse than arguing. That tone meant the conversation wasn't over. It meant they were recalculating. Christmas that year, 4-hour drive, arrived on time. Leo walked in 90 minutes late, jacket smelling like a bar, and dropped into the best chair without a word. We sat down to eat. Leo launched into some half-formed startup idea, something he'd clearly read about once. My father leaned forward immediately, elbows on the table, the specific expression I had spent my entire childhood trying to earn. "Walk me through it," my father said. Leo talked for 20 minutes straight. I waited for a gap. "I passed my CPA exam," I said. "Highest score in my cohort." My father didn't look up from Leo's napkin sketch on the table. My mother said and reached for the bread. That was it. No pause, no shift in the room. The conversation just continued around me. Like I hadn't spoken, it was like the sound of my voice had simply passed through them without registering. I sat there holding my fork, looking at my father's face, completely alive, completely present, aimed entirely at Leo. and I understood, with a clarity I hadn't felt before, that this wasn't neglect. Neglect is accidental. This was a choice they made every single day. I put my fork down and didn't pick it up again. I drove home 4 hours in total silence, decided I was done. What I didn't know sitting alone in that car was that they had one move left, and it was already in motion, 6 weeks before graduation. Job offer signed. Life is finally pointing forward. My phone rang at 11 p.m. My mother. That voice, tight, controlled, the specific frequency she used when the script had already been written and she was just delivering her lines. "There's been an accident. Leo's fine, but your father needs to speak with you." The line transferred before I could respond. My father came on, not panicked, not shaken, calm, structured, already 3 steps ahead. "Listen to me very carefully," he said. Then he told me what they needed, and somewhere in the middle of that sentence, I heard something that had nothing to do with a car accident. I heard a plan that had my name written into it. Long before tonight, he wasn't asking me to help Leo. He was telling me what I was about to become responsible for, and the number he said next, I still hear it sometimes. My father didn't ease into it, but he didn't say it immediately either. "Leo was in an accident tonight," he said. "He's fine, but the car is gone. I waited. Insurance won't cover it," he continued. There were complications. That word sat in the air for a second too long. "What kind of complications?" I said. He paused, just slightly, the pause of someone deciding how much to release at once. "He was drinking," he said. "He can't have a DUI on his record. It would end everything before it starts." I still didn't respond. "We need you to tell the police you were driving." There it was. "Your record is clean. You were sober. You say you borrowed the car and misjudged the turn. Simple story." I looked at the acceptance letter on my desk. 6 weeks from graduation, a job, a life I had built from nothing by myself without a single dollar from that house. "There's more," he said. Of course there was. "Leo has a debt, gambling. It got out of hand, over $150,000. The people he owes have been calling my office." The room went very still. "We need it transferred to your name. Unauthorized card use. You were accessing his account without permission. His name comes off everything. Yours goes on." I said nothing. "The paperwork is already drafted," he said. "We just need your signature." Already drafted, not "we're considering this." Not "we were hoping you might." Already drafted, already moving, already decided before this call. Before my answer, before I said a single word. The trap hadn't been set tonight. It had been set a long time ago. I just hadn't seen it until this moment. My mother came on briefly. "He wouldn't survive this," she said. "You've always been the strong one, you know that." One sentence, same lever, different night. "We're family," she said. My father was back on before I could respond. "We need an answer tonight. The officer expects a follow-up call. Leo's creditors want documentation by the end of the week." No room to breathe, no space to think. That was intentional. I thought about the character reference letter I'd written 2 years ago, the one nobody thanked me for, then Christmas. My father leaned forward over Leo's napkin sketch, completely alive, completely present, while my CPA results sat in the silence between us as they'd never been said. And now this. A Dewey, $150,000, a signature on documents that would follow me for the rest of my life. "This is the last time," my father said. "After this, everything stabilizes." I looked at the acceptance letter for a long moment. "I'll think about it," I said. He started to respond. I ended the call. I didn't sleep. I sat at my desk, and I opened my laptop. Not to think, not to process, to search. One specific name, one specific type of lawyer, someone who handled exactly this kind of situation, debt transfer, forced liability, document fraud. I found her at 1 a.m. I drafted an email with every detail, the call, the request, the number, and the words already drafted, and I sent it before I could second-guess myself. Then I sat back. The paperwork was coming regardless. The only question now was whose name would actually end up on it. She replied before sunrise, and what she said in that email changed the entire direction of what happened next. I made my decision at 1 a.m., Not to sign, not to comply, not to disappear quietly as they expected. I called a lawyer. Her name was Claire. I found her in 40 minutes, drafted one email with every detail, the call, the request, the number, and the words already drafted, and hit send before I could think twice. Then I waited for the morning. I didn't have to wait long. My father called at 9:15. I let it ring, 9:40. Again, at 10, a voicemail, no warmth in it, no pretense of concern. You're not answering. That's a choice. Just understand, every hour this sits unresolved, the exposure grows. Not just for Leo, for everyone connected to this, including you. Call me. That was it. No name, no goodbye. I saved it, forwarded it to Claire. My mother started calling at 6 calls in 40 minutes, then a voicemail, voice low, careful. We're not angry. We just need to know you're okay. This affects more people than just you. Please don't forget that. More people than just you. Saved that one too. Leo called that evening. He didn't sound like himself. The confidence was completely gone, replaced by something unsteady, almost frantic. What are you doing? He said. Nothing, I said. I stopped doing what you needed me to do. That's not, you don't understand what happens when this falls apart. Then explain it. It's not that simple. Try. A pause. I could hear him moving, pacing, maybe. The debt doesn't just disappear, he said. It comes back on the family, on Dad specifically. You're signing, it closes the loop, that's all. On Dad specifically, I said. That's not what Is he connected to that account? It doesn't matter. Leo. Silence. It's longer this time. When he came back, something had shifted. The defensiveness was gone. What replaced it was quieter, almost tired. You don't know what he's like when things go wrong, he said. You were never around for that part. He caught himself immediately. Just sign the documents, he said, flat, done. Good night, Leo. I hung up. I pulled up every email I had from the last 3 years. Bank summaries, forwarded statements, anything from their world that had ever landed in my inbox. I started with the oldest ones. There was a forwarded account summary 3 years back. I'd ignored it at the time, same account number as the document they'd just sent me. I kept going, large deposits, irregular, no clear source. I almost moved past them. Then I pulled up records from a summer I'd briefly worked at my father's office. Filing, nothing significant at the time. One account number appeared in both places. Same rhythm, same origin, over and over for years, not Leo funding the account. My father. I kept going further back. The further I went, the older the pattern got. And somewhere around 3 a.m., sitting in the quiet of that apartment, I stopped looking for Leo's debt. Because I was beginning to understand something. This wasn't Leo's system. It never was. I called Claire first thing in the morning. What she found in those records wasn't gambling debt. It was something that explained why my father's voice never cracked once during that phone call. He'd done this before, and somewhere in those records there was a name. Mine. Claire called at 8:15. No greeting. The account goes back further than 3 years, she said. I'm looking at 7, and the deposits aren't random, they follow a pattern. Same amounts, same intervals, same origin account every time. I waited. It's not gambling money going in, she said. It's business revenue going out. Your father has been routing money from his company through Leo's personal account for 7 years. Small enough amounts to avoid automatic flags, large enough to matter. Why? That's what makes this interesting, she said. The receiving end, where the money goes after Leo's account, those are not casinos, those are payments to a separate LLC registered 4 years ago. In whose name? A pause. Currently Leo's, but the original registration, she stopped. Your father dissolved and re-registered it 18 months ago, right around when the debt started becoming a problem. I sat very still. He moved the liability, I said. He's been moving it, she said. Leo's account, the LLC, and now, with the document they sent you, your name. Each transfer puts more distance between him and the origin. I was next in line, I said. You were the last clean name he had access to, she said. She didn't pause for that to land. Here's what we do, Claire said. I'm filing a formal fraud notice today. It freezes the paper trail exactly where it is. Meaning they can't move anything else. I said, meaning anything they try to move now gets flagged automatically. Do it, I said. She hung up. My father called 11 minutes later, I answered. You have no idea what you're doing, he said. For the first time in this entire situation, he dropped the controlled register, completely. I think I'm starting to, I said. Whatever that woman told you, it's incomplete. You're looking at pieces. You don't have the full picture. Then give it to me. Silence. Come home, he said. We sit down, we talk through this properly. No lawyers, no documents, just family. Just family. I had heard that phrase deployed my entire life at the exact moment they needed something from me. It had never once meant what it sounded like. Everything goes through Claire, I said. If you file that notice. It's already filed, I said. The silence that followed was different from every silence before it, not calculating, not rearranging, just still. You don't know what you've started, he said finally. I know what you started, I said. 7 years ago. I ended the call. Leo texted 20 minutes later, 4 words. Dad is not okay. I read it once, set the phone face down. Leo's fear wasn't my problem anymore. Claire called back at noon. The fraud notice is filed and time-stamped, she said. I also submitted a formal records request for the LLC registration history. Once that comes back, we have the full chain. And the document they sent me. Officially contested, legally unenforceable. They can't use it, can't refile it, can't create a new version without it being flagged. So they have nothing, I said. They have a problem, she said, and it's getting harder to manage. I did one more thing that afternoon. I wrote a letter, not to my father, not to Leo, not to any lawyer, to the firm that drafted the original document. 1 page, factual, no accusations, just a precise summary of the account history, the registration timeline, the document metadata, and the fraud notice now on record. Claire had advised against it. I did it anyway, because I needed them to understand clearly, immediately, that whoever was advising my father was now holding a live wire. The reply came in under 2 hours. The firm had withdrawn from the case. No explanation given, none needed. By evening, the calls had stopped. No voicemails, no texts, no forwarded messages through my mother, just silence. Not the silence of people who had accepted something. The silence of people who were recalculating in a direction they hadn't planned for. I sat at my desk and looked at the fraud notice confirmation on my screen. Time-stamped, filed, immovable. 7 years of rowing. A dissolved LLC. A backdated document with my name on it. A law firm that had just quietly walked away from its client. My father had spent years building a system designed to stay invisible. It wasn't invisible anymore. This wasn't about a car accident. It wasn't about gambling debt. It wasn't even about Leo. It was a 7-year financial structure, and I had just become the first person to look directly at it. This was no longer a family story. It was a case.